If you enjoy the video, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what kind of stories you would like to hear next. And if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. You can also check out the Patreon mentioned in the description for additional stories created by my team. Now, enjoy the story. I knew my secret was no longer a secret the moment Olivia stepped through the bedroom door holding a brown wig that I recognized immediately. It had come from the small collection of clothes I kept hidden away for the times when I wanted to experiment with a different side of myself. She didn't say a word at first. She simply stood there in the doorway, holding the wig in one hand and staring directly at me. My stomach dropped. I opened my mouth, hoping I could somehow explain everything before she asked the obvious question, but my mind went completely blank. For several long seconds, neither of us moved. The silence between us felt heavier than anything I could have said. Finally, Olivia broke the silence. She told me she already knew. Olivia had been my girlfriend for 2 years, and throughout that time she had become the person I trusted more than anyone else. She was confident, intelligent, and almost impossible to intimidate. Standing nearly 6 feet tall, she had played Division I volleyball in college and still carried herself with the same athletic confidence. She had also built her own fashion business, which kept her busy but had given her an incredible understanding of clothing, styling, and presentation. We had first met in college, and what started as a friendship eventually became something much deeper. I was shorter than her at around 5 feet 8, worked in technology, and had a fairly flexible schedule. Because of my technical background, I often helped her with the digital side of her business. Our relationship had always felt strong. That was why this moment scared me so much. Olivia explained that several months earlier, she had accidentally discovered a photograph of me dressed in women's clothing while she was searching for another file on my computer. At the time, she hadn't known what to make of it. She assumed it might have been an edited photograph or something from years ago, so she decided not to question me. But apparently, she had never completely forgotten about it. Now that she was standing in front of me with the wig in her hand, there was no point pretending anymore. I took a deep breath and finally admitted the truth. I told her that I had always had a private interest in cross-dressing. It wasn't something I did constantly, and it wasn't something that defined my everyday life. Every once in a while, usually when I was alone at home, I would take some of the clothes I had collected and experiment with a different appearance. I told her I had never known how to bring it up. Olivia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she admitted that the secret itself didn't bother her nearly as much as the fact that I had hidden it from her. She wasn't angry. She was disappointed that after 2 years together, I hadn't trusted her enough to tell her. That hurt more than I expected. I asked her what I could possibly do to make things right. For the first time since she had entered the room, Olivia smiled. Then her expression changed into something that immediately made me suspicious. She told me she had an idea. Before I could ask what she meant, she turned around and walked out of the bedroom. I remained sitting there, trying to figure out what she could possibly be planning. From somewhere in the house, I heard her making a couple of phone calls. Every now and then, I could hear her laughing. That somehow made me even more nervous. Eventually, Olivia returned and told me she wanted to turn the whole situation into an experience rather than an argument. She said she had decided to help me explore this side of myself, beginning with a complete makeover inspired by the clothing I had secretly collected. She wanted to style me from head to toe. The idea caught me completely off guard. Before long, we were in the bathroom preparing everything she had planned. Olivia gathered the supplies she thought she would need and began explaining each step. Instead of simply letting me hide behind the clothes I had kept secret, she wanted me to see the transformation openly. She started by helping me prepare for a full makeover. She ran a warm bath and brought out a special body care product she had chosen for the occasion. I followed her instructions, washing away the stubble and body hair that had always made me feel awkward whenever I experimented with feminine clothing. Afterward, I looked into the mirror and barely recognized myself. My entire appearance had changed. My skin looked completely different without the usual body hair, and my shorter hairstyle made my face look even more youthful and feminine. I stood there for several moments, trying to process how quickly a few simple changes could completely alter the way I saw myself. Then the doorbell rang. Olivia disappeared to answer it. A moment later, she returned with her friend Faith. I knew Faith from college as well. She had played volleyball with Olivia and was just as tall and athletic. She also had the kind of outgoing personality that made it impossible for her to hide her reactions. The moment she saw me, her face lit up with surprise. I immediately became self-conscious and tried to hide behind my hands, but Olivia laughed and told me there was no reason to be embarrassed. Faith assured me that she wasn't there to judge me. Instead, she had brought something specifically for the makeover. She opened her purse and pulled out a package wrapped in a brown plastic bag. Olivia looked curious. Faith handed it over, explaining that she had found a dramatic maid-inspired costume for the makeover. Olivia opened the package and examined the outfit carefully. She smiled. Apparently, she had been looking for something that would make the transformation feel completely different from anything I had worn before. The outfit was designed as a theatrical costume rather than everyday clothing, with a fitted skirt, decorative details, and a structured top. It looked nothing like the ordinary clothes I had secretly kept in my closet. For the first time, I realized Olivia wasn't simply teasing me about my secret. She was genuinely trying to help me understand why dressing differently had always fascinated me. She helped me get into the costume piece by piece, making sure everything fit properly. The structured top changed my posture almost immediately, while the skirt created an entirely different silhouette. Faith watched the process with a smile, occasionally offering suggestions about how the outfit could be styled. Once the clothing was in place, Olivia moved on to the next stage: makeup. She positioned me in front of the mirror and began working carefully, starting with a light foundation before adding subtle definition around my eyes and cheeks. My face had always had softer features, so she didn't need to do much. A little makeup made a surprisingly dramatic difference. As she worked, I kept looking at my reflection. There was something strange about seeing myself like this. I had spent so much time keeping this part of myself hidden that I had never really stopped to consider what it might feel like if someone else knew about it and wasn't disappointed or disgusted. Instead, Olivia was standing behind me, patiently helping me become the version of myself I had only ever allowed to exist in private. When she finally finished, she picked up the brown wig she had brought into the bedroom earlier. For a second, she held it above my head. Then she carefully placed it over my freshly cut hair and adjusted it until it sat naturally. She stepped back. Faith looked at me. I looked at myself. The person staring back from the mirror seemed completely different from the man who had been sitting on the bed only a short while earlier. I didn't know whether to laugh, feel embarrassed, or simply stare. Olivia smiled and told me that this was only the beginning. And judging by the expression on her face, I had a feeling that the rest of the evening was going to change far more than just my appearance. Faith couldn't resist taking a picture once the transformation was complete. She pulled out her phone, captured the moment, and then she and Olivia exchanged amused looks. I felt my face getting warm as I realized there was now photographic evidence of the completely different version of myself standing in front of them. Olivia took me out of the bathroom and back toward the bedroom. Waiting on the floor was another part of the outfit, a pair of tall black heels. They matched the rest of the costume perfectly and had the same theatrical, locked-in design as the clothing. With Faith helping, Olivia carefully got the shoes onto my feet. Standing in them was an entirely different challenge. I wasn't used to wearing heels that high, and for the first few seconds I had to concentrate just to keep my balance. They added a few finishing touches as well. Olivia placed a bracelet around my wrist, while Faith adjusted a decorative collar with white ruffles around my neck. When they stepped back to look at me, the entire outfit finally appeared complete. Faith grinned and announced that I was officially ready for my first day of work. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang again. This time, there were several voices outside. Olivia and Faith exchanged a quick glance before telling me to stay in the bedroom while they went to greet everyone. I could hear the front door opening, followed by conversations and bursts of laughter. Judging by the number of different voices, I guessed that somewhere around a dozen people had arrived. I had no idea what Olivia had planned. After several minutes, Faith returned. She was carrying a blindfold. Before I could ask why, she gently placed it over my eyes and told me to follow her. She guided me through the hallway, and I immediately noticed that the voices had disappeared. The house had suddenly become strangely quiet. Faith led me into the living room and positioned me somewhere in the center. Then she stepped away. For a moment, I could hear nothing. My heart began beating faster. Then Olivia's voice came from somewhere in front of me. She announced my arrival to everyone in the room, introducing me as her boyfriend and joking about my newly discovered love for women's fashion and my temporary role as the evening's maid. As she finished her introduction, Faith removed the blindfold. I opened my eyes. The entire living room was filled with women. They were gathered around the room, looking at me with huge smiles. The second they saw my reaction, they burst into cheers and applause. I stood completely frozen. Olivia, meanwhile, couldn't contain herself. She doubled over laughing at the expression on my face. Once everyone had settled down, Olivia explained that she had prepared a series of harmless challenges for me throughout the evening. Instead of focusing on embarrassing me, she wanted the night to become a playful way of helping me become more comfortable with the feminine side of my personality. My first assignment was a silly strength challenge. Olivia asked me to judge which of the girls was the strongest, and everyone immediately became competitive about it. They lined up while Olivia explained the rules. The challenge involved playful, non-serious gestures and was meant entirely as a joke among friends. Every participant tried to outdo the previous one, which resulted in plenty of laughter. When it was Olivia's turn, she exaggerated her performance so dramatically that I couldn't help laughing. I eventually declared her the winner. Everyone cheered. That was only the beginning. The rest of the evening became a long series of challenges. I helped prepare food in the kitchen, cleaned up afterward, organized things around the house, and learned how much more difficult it was to move around while wearing unfamiliar clothes and heels. At different points, the girls asked me to give them simple shoulder massages, help arrange decorations, and perform silly little dances whenever music came on. The entire situation should have felt completely overwhelming. Instead, something unexpected happened. I started enjoying myself. I had spent years keeping this side of myself hidden, always worrying about what other people might think. Yet here I was surrounded by people who already knew, and nobody seemed particularly bothered by it. Olivia especially seemed to understand. Whenever I became nervous, she would give me an encouraging smile. Sometimes I caught her watching me when she thought I wasn't paying attention, almost as if she had realized that I was far more comfortable than I wanted to admit. As the evening continued, the group gradually became smaller. One by one, the guests said goodbye and headed home. Eventually, the house became quiet again. It was just Olivia and me. We returned to the bedroom, and after everything that had happened, I finally asked her if I could change out of the outfit. Olivia looked at me for a moment before smiling. She told me I could change soon, but then she surprised me with another idea. She said that she wanted to make Sundays our tradition. Every Sunday, she wanted to help me dress in a feminine style, and afterward I would help with the housework, cooking, cleaning, and whatever other ordinary responsibilities we had around the home. The important part, she explained, wasn't the clothes or the chores. It was that Sundays would become a day when I could stop hiding the part of myself I had always kept private. I agreed. Over the following weeks, Sunday became something I actually looked forward to. Olivia would help me choose an outfit, style my hair, and experiment with different looks. Sometimes the results were elegant, sometimes funny, and occasionally completely ridiculous. We laughed a lot. There were even a few occasions when we went out for short trips while I was dressed differently. Those moments were much harder for me. I would become nervous the second we left the house, worrying that someone might recognize me or judge me. Sometimes my anxiety became so strong that I asked Olivia to turn around and take me home. She never made fun of me for it. Instead, she patiently reminded me that I didn't have to rush anything. Over time, those Sundays became an important part of our relationship. They weren't really about being forced into a role. They became a way for me to explore something I had spent years keeping hidden, while Olivia learned more about a side of me I had never known how to explain. We continued that routine for years. Eventually, though, our relationship came to an end for reasons that had nothing to do with the Sundays or my interest in feminine clothing. Even after we separated, I found myself thinking about those weekends. I missed the laughter. I missed the strange little routines we had created. Most of all, I missed how comfortable I had eventually become with myself. Looking back, I realized that Olivia had given me something I hadn't known I needed. She had helped me understand that I didn't necessarily have to choose between being masculine and having a feminine side. Both could exist within the same person. Those Sunday evenings had become a strange but meaningful balance between the different parts of who I was. Even years later, I still remember them fondly. And whenever I think about Olivia, one of the first memories that comes to mind is that first Sunday, the day my secret stopped being something I was terrified of and became something I could finally talk about. Thanks for listening to the story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what kind of stories you'd like to hear next, and check the description for additional content from the team. I'll see you in the next story.